I'm gonna start by saying this is the most fun I've ever had in a press car. This is the Hyundai Elantra N, and if you're looking for a good time for a good price, this is it. And if you add in the fact that they make it in both manual and dual clutch, there's one for everybody. This video is gonna highlight the design and the features of the Elantra N, but if you're interested in how this thing drives, which trust me, you should be, I have an in-depth test drive video that I've already posted, and that will be linked on the screen at the end of the video. So as always, we're gonna start this review here underneath the hood. What we have here is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, puts out 276 horsepower, and then 286 when it's in boost mode, and 289 pound-feet of torque, and that is paired with an 8-speed wet dual clutch transmission. 0 to 60 takes approximately 4.8 seconds. This is front wheel drive, but it does come with an electronic limited slip diff. Fuel economy ratings are combined 23 miles per gallon. That's 20 in the city, 27 on the highway, and the capacity of the fuel tank is 12.4 gallons. Let's talk color. This is known as Performance Blue, and the paint has a normal high gloss finish to it. It's not a matte finish. I had a Hyundai Ioniq 5N as a press car back in April that had Performance Blue matte. And while matte paint does look really cool, it is a lot harder to maintain and a lot harder to repair if it gets damaged. So this paint finish is much easier to work with. And now let's check out the front end. Really aggressive, really sporty. If we look in the center, you can see that intercooler inside. We have full functionality here in the front, lots of airflow to cool down that turbocharged engine. We have a lot of gloss black on the inserts of the grille. And then we have this part here in the bumper kind of intersecting. That's flat black. I think it looks slightly out of place. I think they should have just made it gloss black with the rest of it, but I guess it's not a huge deal. And it has all the hallmarks of Hyundai's N sub-brand, like the N badge right there on the grille, and then those red accents that go all the way across the bottom of the vehicle. So we have it down here on the very bottom of the bumper. And then off here to the side, you can see the functional aerodynamic air vents, and I can confirm they do work well. And all the badging on the vehicle is blacked out. Looks really nice and sporty. Now let's check out the headlight housing. The headlight housing sits really low. It is a low vehicle, but the headlights feel exceptionally low. And then when it blinks off, you can see it's white underneath. That is the LED daytime running light. And then we have 2 large projector beam LEDs down below. Obviously the one you see on, that's your low beam, and then you have the high beam next to it. Plenty bright, no issues there. And now turning to the side here, things get a little crazy. Up on the top, we do get a standard size moonroof and then a nice gloss black shark fin for the antenna. I think this thing would look really cool with a blacked out roof, but I'm kind of just nitpicking. And then on the window trim, we have gloss black. No tinting on the windows. You typically don't get that on sedans, but gloss black all around the window trim. And then here on the back, we have these small little vortex generators. Now, how efficient exactly are they? I think maybe questionable, but at the very least, it just makes it look a little bit less plain looking. We get these side sill extensions on the bottom, again with that red accent, and we do have the N logo kind of embossed right into it. Now the black surround, it is flat black, it's not glossy, and as you can see, it does show water spots pretty well, but again, nothing major. And now we have to talk about the body lines because there's a lot going on. And ever since this generation of the Elantra came out for the 2021 model year, I think this has been the most controversial part of the design. So this body line right here, that looks cool, and this one going along the top, it's nothing crazy out of the ordinary, but then you can see the one at the top kind of splits and then forms this Z shape, and then going into the bottom, it's just a lot going on. I do think it's a bit busy and a little bit over the top, and I think on this N model, it kind of works, but when you look at the other trim levels, the more pedestrian, commuter car, lower trim levels of the Elantra, it looks like really out of place. So I really hope on the next generation Elantra, which should be coming to the States within the next year, will be a little bit more subdued on the styling. All right, and now we have to talk about this wheel and tire setup because it's a good one. What we have here is a 19-inch wheel in gloss black, nice V shape on all the spokes, and then sitting behind that, we have 14.2-inch ventilated front rotors, and then 12.4-inch in the rear. And we do have N-branded red painted calipers, but they are made in-house by Hyundai. They are not Brembos or anything special like that. And then we have the tires. These are proper track-ready summer tires, Michelin Pilot Sport 4S. They have outstanding grip, but don't drive in the snow in them. And the size of the tire is 245 on the width, with a 35 series sidewall. And now back to the rear. It's a little crazy looking, not as crazy looking as the side, but I think it's crazy looking in a good way. So of course, with this being the N model, we have to get the blacked out wing up top. That looks really sharp. But even without that wing, the shape of the back almost kind of incorporates a small spoiler into it, the way it sticks out there at the top. And the taillights are really cool. I like the way they go all the way across and how they integrated this kind of black trim into it. But as you can see, it's got incandescent turn signals, and at this point in 2025, they shouldn't be on any car at any price at this point. And especially with this being a performance model, it's just cheap and outdated looking. But I really like the taillight aspect of it, how it creates the letter H. Granted, a very wide one. Hyundai's got some other models where they also incorporate H shapes into their lighting. And again, we have more blacked out badging on Hyundai and Elantra. We have our backup camera there and the trunk button hidden nicely into that black trim. Now down at the bottom, again, they chose to go with flat black instead of gloss. I think gloss black would look much better. But the red accent continues at the bottom. And then check out these really fat exhaust pipes, and you can hear the idle. The idle sounds amazing. And the exhaust is variable. You can customize the way it sounds. I personally like to keep it as loud as it goes. 2 integrated reflectors, and then we have some parking sensors. License plate sits down there at the bottom, and now let's head back into the trunk. Hit that button. Nice and easy. And the first thing you'll notice when you open up the trunk is that bright red chassis brace there in the back. These seats do fold down, but it's not 60/40, it just folds down in one piece. But you know, this is a pretty spacious trunk for a vehicle this size, 14.2 cubic feet. And if you see this little outline around here on the floor, you'd probably think, oh, you got a spare tire under there. Well, you would be incorrect. We only have a fix-a-flat, but there's room for a spare tire, so you can buy one and put it in there. But yeah, air pump, fix-a-flat, no spare. Before we go any further, let's start this thing up and listen to the exhaust. So now we are inside the 2025 Hyundai Elantra N, and once you're in here, you'll be able to understand how Hyundai was able to make a car with such high performance for such a low cost. And unfortunately, that means a good amount of cost cutting in the interior. There are a good amount of features that are missing, but it's a trade-off. And while the interior at this point is a bit dated, you'll also see that some of the material quality isn't the best. So starting up here on the dash, it is a soft touch plastic, but it is very cheap feeling. It has a really kind of weird texture to it. And then everything underneath is all hard plastic. No soft touch, leatherette, or anything like that. Now, if we take a look over here at the door panel, you can see we have this insert that is micro suede. Feels really nice, and we have these cool 3 stripes with like perforations in them. I mean, that looks nice, but the entire rest, up top, down below, it's all hard plastic. This middle portion is slightly like rubberized, but no leatherette, no leather, and it's really not that comfortable to put your elbow on. And the whole rest of the door panel, it just feels very cheap. We do get a cool looking speaker grill for the Bose audio system. We'll listen to that in a few. But overall, there's nothing really impressive about this. And now let's take a look here at the seats. These really cool race bucket seats. They are actually quite nice. Just like the door panel, we have micro suede on the middle portion. We got those 3 stripes again. Now the outer edges of the seat are made of Hyundai's H-Tex leatherette. But something interesting I want to note, we're at just about 8,000 miles on the odometer on this one, and as you can see, we do have a lot of cracking here in the leatherette. So long-term longevity, I think might be a little bit questionable for this material. We do have some light blue contrast stitching that kind of matches the outside color of the car. That's nice. And we have an illuminated N logo in the seat, in both front seats. Looks a bit more dramatic at night, but it does stay illuminated during the day. And finally, the headrest is not adjustable because it's all one piece, but it is very soft and it's still very comfortable. And as you can see here, really thick bolstering on the bottom and the top part. It's not the easiest to slide in and out of, getting in and out of the car, but that's kind of the point. It helps you stay in place when you're out driving. And the seats are manual adjustment only, so you got the bar up front, the lever to go up and down, and this one to recline. So no power seats here in the Elantra N. We do get a tiny little metal door sill with the N logo, and then we have the aluminum brake pedal, dead pedal, and accelerator. Those are really nice. Now let's take a look at the steering wheel. It is a bit dated at this point. I wish they had given this the same wheel that they have on the refreshed Sonata. I think it would look a lot better, but it does serve its purpose. It is leather wrapped with the same light blue contrast stitching on the inside. Small little N logo at the bottom. It's got some extended bolsters here at 10 and 2. We do get some nice big paddle shifters here on the back to control that 8-speed dual clutch. And just like the emblems outside, they did black out the Hyundai logo. That looks really cool. And now to go over the controls, we have voice command, mode, and then we have our audio controls, volume up and down, fast forward, rewind, favorites, and your phone button. And the N button down here, there's two N buttons. So the N button on the right side is the N standard mode, and then on the left side is the N custom mode. And I believe you can switch them or reconfigure them. But on this one I have here, that's how it's set. Custom, standard. Here on the right side, we have the controls for that middle part of the gauge display up there. We have cruise control. We don't have adaptive cruise control, so just regular cruise control. We do have lane keep assist, the N standard mode, like I said before, and then down here we have NGS, and that stands for N Grin Shift. And basically when you hit that button, you get a 20-second boost of power, and that's good for an additional 10 horsepower. And just above the wheel here, we have a 10.2-inch fully digital gauge cluster. This does not have the newer system that a lot of Hyundai's other refreshed models have. Even though the screens are plenty big, they do look a bit dated in comparison to some of Hyundai's other screens. So depending on the drive mode, it'll look a little bit different up here. So if I go through the drive modes, if I switch to sport, you can see the gauges, they turn red. Eco, they turn blue. And then you have your standard silver there for normal. And then when you put it in N mode, then you get all this additional information like oil temperature, engine temperature, and then, you know, your turbo pressure and your torque. And then as far as stuff it can show in the middle, we have a compass, tire pressure, your oil and engine temperature. Then you have your speedometer there in the middle. So just a few things that you can put there in the middle. We don't have a head-up display, but no Elantra comes with a head-up display, so I'm not tripping over that. And something cool you can get here in the Elantra that you can't get in the Honda Civic is ambient lighting. Now there's only a few strips of it, and they're here in the front. We got 1, 2, and then number 3 over here. It's not in any of the doors or anything like that, but it's still nice to have. Right now I have it set to red, and even in the daytime, it's still pretty visible and pretty bright. Now let's move on to the infotainment screen. So 10.2 inches. It is a good display. It's pretty responsive, and you know, the clarity and the resolution is pretty decent. But here's the problem, okay? You see this? Wired Apple CarPlay only. This does not have wireless, and you already know what I'm gonna say about that. Wireless charger, wired CarPlay. What's the point? There is no point in having a wireless charger if you still have to plug in the phone to use CarPlay. And to make matters even worse, you have to use an older USB-A charger. You can't use the USB-C there for CarPlay. It has to be an older USB-A wire. Hyundai still makes a great infotainment system. Their software is always laid out nicely, easy to use. This one has valet mode, Hyundai Pay, the in-system navigation. Not that I ever use it, because I always just use CarPlay for navigation, but it's good to have it there. This also has quiet mode, where it'll only play music out of the front speakers if you have like kids sleeping in the back. So N mode is where you customize all the stuff like steering, suspension, transmission, the limited slip differential, the electronic stability control, and the exhaust. This also has launch control. I talk more about this in my test drive video, so be sure to check that out. But that's how you know this is a true performance car. Tons of customization. So we have an 8-speaker Bose audio system. Let's take a listen. backup camera, throw it in reverse. It doesn't take up the whole screen. We do have parking sensors, but we don't have a forward-facing camera or a 360 camera. And the resolution, it's just okay. It's not great, but we do have distance markers and trajectory. I always say I'm a big fan of Hyundai shortcut controls that they have here. They always do that, and I think it works well. Nice, easy shortcuts to jump to wherever it is you need to go. Dropping down, we have fully physical AC controls. Big fan of that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have dual zone climate here in the front, and the 2 front seats are heated, 3 stages, but no ventilated. And then moving down, we get this cool leather wrapped shifter with the N logo and that performance blue accent on there, and the same with the stitching. We got leatherette on the shift boot. You also know it's a real performance car because we do get a real physical handbrake. Don't really see that anymore. We got 2 cup holders. The one in the front is pretty small. It has this like extension, but it goes pretty deep. We have a little bit of like piano black plastic, but as you can see, it shows the dust and the dirt. Inside the center console, quite small in there, I have to say. No charging ports or anything like that in there. And then inside the glove box, that is a decent sized glove box, I'll give it that. And something I always found to be a little strange in this Elantra is this grab handle. Like, I don't know, it feels weird the way it kind of separates the passenger and the driver. But I will say it is probably good for the driver to have this, because if we look up top, the driver does not get a grab handle, which is weird because the passenger does and everyone else does. And one thing I'm happy to report, we do get a moonroof here on the Elantra N. A lot of performance cars don't have a sunroof, but this one does. So now I'm in the back seat right behind where I'd have the driver's seat adjusted for myself at 6 feet tall. I have plenty of room to spare, probably about 6 inches, so leg room is great in the back. But as you can see, we have no pockets on the seat back, so that is disappointing, although it is soft touch all the way through to the back. But then over on the door panel, again, we have the hard touch plastic up top. We do get the suede insert, but that rubberized part from the front is now just hard plastic in the back, and we don't get the aluminum sill in the back. Headroom is decent. I'm not touching the ceiling. And then also, we do not get a center armrest in the back, so that's a bummer. But luckily down below, we do get 2 USB-C ports. MSRP of this Hyundai Elantra N with all its options is $37,070. A huge thank you to Hyundai for sending me this Elantra N to keep for an entire week so that I can give you guys the most thorough review possible. Please let me know your thoughts on the Elantra N down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please share with a friend and subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and be sure to follow @OpticalAutomotive on TikTok and Instagram, and check out the page on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.